Welcome to the string review for Babolat RPM Team. If you're a big hitter looking for a co-poly that gives you amazing control on full swings, the RPM Team might just be the string for you. Made with an 8-sided profile for added bite and spin, the RPM Team was designed as a softer companion to RPM Blast. And though it posted a high stiffness number in our Tennis Warehouse string lab, this co-poly gave our team a smooth feel at impact with exceptional levels of control, spin, and durability. It also happens to be the string of choice of Carlos Alcaraz. So let's take a closer look. So when I first got on court with this string, I could immediately tell that's a control-oriented string, and that's because I strung it up in my Pure Strike 1820 at 57 pounds. So a lot of my balls were landing a bit short, and I had to take really big swings and go really high on the net clearance to get the ball deep so that my opponents can't take advantage of those shots. But after a little bit, once the tension dropped, I was able to, just get a little bit more power, a little bit more plow through, and so I was able to make the string work. I would like to mention that the tension drop is quick, but not a lot. At least that's how I felt. I feel like it might have dropped after a session or two of 1 or 2 hour hitting, but it didn't feel like it dropped a whole lot. So if I strung it at 57 or something, it felt like it dropped about 55 or even 54. It dropped quick, but not by a whole lot. So that was nice. I was still getting a lot of spin, even using an 1820, at least as however amount I can get from an 1820. And I like that. And although, like I mentioned, it had a higher stiffness rating in our labs, you can't really tell that. Even at the highest tension, I didn't really get a whole lot of vibration or shock in my arm and all that, which I really liked. I was quite surprised on that because I've seen the lab results and I was a bit worried about it, but you really don't get a whole lot of a shock and all that, so that's a really good point. But overall, a really good play test for me. I really like this string. I think I want to put a few more hours in this to see if there's any more tension drop and all that. But in the past 3 weeks of using it, I've liked it. It's a really good string and I really recommend trying this out.
Although it's just a homonym, RPM Team had me feeling a bit like Dominic Thiem out there on court. All that to say, I really did like this string. It pleasantly surprised me in terms of what it offered. Initially, kind of like Manish mentioned, I saw the stiffness rating per our lab data, and I was a little apprehensive. Anything typically around 220 or so is where I max out in terms of stiffness usually. I don't like strings that are usually a little stiffer than that, but this had a lot of feel for being so stiff, and it did not ever give me any arm issues. So I was very happy with that. I think a large part of that comes from the octagonal profile and the ever so slightly rounded edges, in addition to the internal composition that Babolat uses. It's just a really nice feeling string. That was the highlight for me, just a really consistent performance. I feel like the string did pretty much everything I asked of it. Really good feel across the board. It sits right in the middle of that fine line between control and power, giving you good access to both without compromising for the other. And I really just thought it had a great feel, especially up at net. I was volleying a lot with this string, really felt like I could just rush forward and attack the point early on. I would say that this doesn't quite reach that upper level of spin production for me personally. So while it's not in that top tier of spin strings, I do think it's definitely up there. But if you're looking for something that has really good feel, really good tension maintenance, and all-around solid performance, I think this is definitely worth considering. For this playtest today, we had 2 different testing setups, a Strike 98 1820 at 57 pounds with RPM Team, and a Babolat Puro Rafa at 53 pounds with RPM Team. That wraps up the playtest for Babolat RPM Team. For anything else tennis related, check us out at Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, and Tennis Only.